Coming to you direct from Silencer Shop Studios, home of the Glass Case of Emotion.
SilencerShop.com, the easiest way to buy silencers online, period.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
I don't know what I'd do without my black carbon steel microphone. I don't know. This is my...
Why's it got to be black?
It's got to be black because it is. It's a black carbon steel microphone inside of a glass case of emotion. And here I am, and here you are. And, well, since you're here and I'm here, doesn't that make it our time? I guess it does make it our time. Jared does not get that reference at all, but that's okay. You guys...
Bob Ross?
No.
Darn.
No. Somebody write to Jared and let him know, if you're here and I'm here, doesn't that make it our time?
And to write to Jared, you go to info@studentofthegun.com. Just or in the grad program group.
Just
on
go
Facebook.
to it'll be faster. Go to grad program and
I'm getting to the point where
send Jared a meme.
I'm going to have to change my email address at Student of the Gun because people send me stuff that's not even, it's like just news stories. If you have news stories, send it to info@studentofthegun.com or on Student of the Gun Facebook or on Student of the Gun Twitter, that kind of stuff. Because that doesn't go to my email address.
Yeah, actually what really works, if you have a story that you want to share with us, either sharing it via our Facebook or the Twitter or whatever, tag us at Student of the Gun on Twitter, and then we'll see it. So that's a quick, easy way to do that.
Yeah.
But it's Thursday. It's the last public broadcast of the week. But fear not, for all of you hip cats who are in the grad program, we will be back to talk to you tomorrow. If you're not in the grad program and you like to read, well, you might want to pay close attention. If you like good information that could help you actually save your life, if you'd like to read about the adventures of a professional bodyguard, pay close attention. You guys need to be checking your email, watching the social media sites, because Jared and I have come up with something for you. Now, the grad program obviously gets first dibs on everything. And by the time you're hearing these words, the grad program has already gotten the offer. But Jared's going to make it available to the entire world. Right, Jared? You want to make it available to the whole world?
The entire universe.
The universe. Yeah. You're going to make this intergalactically available?
Kind of. I mean, we can't really ship it intergalactically, but...
No, we can put it on the Mars lander or something like that. But, I'm an intergalactically certified EMP, so there's that. Cue Beastie Boys music.
Do you carry your DD-214, though? Because if you don't, then your credentials are just, they don't even matter.
Yeah, I got a question for you. Anybody, I know that there are veterans listening to me. I know that someone out there in the audience is a veteran, and I've got a question for you. Do you carry, now you obviously never carry your original, but do you carry a copy of your DD-214 in your wallet, on your person, all the time? Now, I know, you know what they do have, Jared? They actually have pocket-size honorable discharges. I've seen those. You get an honorable discharge certificate from the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, or whatever. And I've seen the actual copies, the little laminated copies of the honorable discharge. But that's not a DD-214. That's not your service record.
So what would be the purpose of carrying the honorable discharge card?
I have no idea. To get like discount coffee at a Denny's or something. I don't know.
Because I was going to say that from my perspective, if you showed me that card, then I would say that you're a tool because you're just using that as like to get free stuff.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But I don't have that tactical experience, so I can't say that.
No, when I go to places, and I've had a Navy Federal Credit Union account for 29 years?
Yeah.
Yes. So for about 29, not quite 30 years, I've had a Navy Federal Credit Union account. And in the area that I live in, people know and understand that if you have a Navy Federal account, then you probably either are or were in the Navy or the Marine Corps. But you can be an Air Force person and get it regardless. So go to some place, and I'll pay for my oil change with the Navy Federal card. I hand them the Navy Federal card, they swipe it, and they go, "Oh, are you a veteran?" And I say, "Yes, I am." And they say, "Oh, well, I can give you the veteran discount. Do you have your ID?" And I'm like, "Oh, what?" "Yeah, I have my ID right here. It's a state of Mississippi permission to drive on the public highways thing." No, your veteran's ID. I'm like, what the hell is a veteran's ID? Like, look, your VA card. Everybody who's not in the military, like all the like citizen type people, apparently they think that the day you get your honorable discharge and you step across the yellow line and become a slimy civilian, that they give you a VA card. Like you have this VA card with your name and face and everything on it. That's not the case at all. You actually have to like go down there and say, "I'm a veteran and I want to get on the VA thing." I don't have a VA card. I will never have a VA card. The United States of America.
But you got to get you some of that free healthcare.
Get me some of that free. I got to get me some of that wait around for 3.5 hours to see a doctor for 5 minutes to have them tell you to come back in 6 months. That kind of VA treatment, the kind of VA treatment where you've got a screwed up, busted up back, busted up knees, and instead of actually putting you under the knife and fixing it, they just dope you up on painkillers for 3 years. That kind of VA treatment, the kind of VA treatment where you go in and you say, "Hey, I'm feeling depressed. I'm not happy with my life." "Oh, you need to talk to a psychologist." Okay, you sit down and do that. The next thing you know, you're getting a visit from the sheriff's deputies telling you that they're there to confiscate your guns because the psychologist at the VA has deemed you to be mentally unstable. You mean that kind of VA treatment? Yeah.
But veterans don't get their guns confiscated.
Oh, yeah, veterans don't. They don't send sheriff's deputies around to confiscate the guns of veterans because they talk to a psychologist. No, that never happens. So anyway, getting back to the tire change and oil change thing where they say the veteran, I'm like, no, I don't have a VA card. But maybe, Jared, if I start carrying the pocket wallet size honorable discharge, maybe they'll take that. And I don't ask for veterans discounts. I never have, and I never will. Now, if someone says to me, there's a difference between being a tool with your hand out and being gracious in allowing people to say thank you. Now, there are businesses and business owners, especially small business owners, who want to say thank you to American veterans and service members. They want to do that. That is their way of saying thank you to you by giving you 5% off your oil change or, 10% off your coffee or whatever, right? And that's their way of saying thank you to you. Okay, great. And I appreciate that. And I think that is nice. But there's a big difference between being gracious enough to allow someone to thank you. And that's actually part of being a mature human being is giving people the opportunity to thank you and not making them feel crappy about it. And being a tool and going around everywhere trying to get free stuff because you think because you're a veteran now that the world owes you free stuff. And let me tell you what, if you're listening to me right now and you're a veteran and you're one of those people, you're fargan wrong. I caught myself. You're welcome. You're fargan wrong. You're part of the problem. If you joined the military, not because you felt it was your civic duty and that you wanted to serve your nation, but because you wanted to sign yourself up for the free stuff train, you're part of the problem in America today. You're part of the problem of the United States. Get your head out of your rectum. Extricate your head, your cranium from your rectum, and be a man or a woman if you want. But nothing makes me more angry and disappointed in my fellow man than to see a United States military veteran acting and behaving like they're some kind of welfare recipient victim looking to get their free stuff. That's crap. And knock it off.
Going back to the veterans' guns being confiscated thing, we actually had a disabled veteran that had his guns confiscated from him, and it's SOTG 145. There's going to be a link to that show in the show notes, but if you just want to go to the radio site and search 145, then it'll come up for you. It's called Disabled Vets Guns Confiscation. Proves guns are a privilege, not your property.
There you go. All right. Let's thank our friends at Duracoat because they allow you to walk around with a not ugly gun. Life's too short to be walking around with an ugly gun. You know it is. I know it is. We know it is. And now that Duracoat has their can technology for both the colored stuff and, why's it got to be colored, man? And the DuraBlue, you really are fresh out of excuses. Now, a few years ago, you could say, oh, yeah, that gun does look like a piece of crap, and it's been beaten and nasty, but I'm not going to spend $200 or $300 to get it refinished because I'm not going to do it. Well, a couple of years ago, 3, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, that was a valid excuse. It's no longer a valid excuse. If you can't afford $30 to put a new finish on your gun, you can. You know you can. So check out Duracoat at LauerWeaponry.com. You can get the gun tattoos. You can get all that. Basically every color under the rainbow, including very soon slightly darker black. And if you guys send them enough nice notes, maybe they'll produce a Frog Lube green for you. Brownells. You want to get some Duracoat or some Frog Lube? You do? Well, heck, just pop on over to Brownells.com. They have both of those products there. Frog Lube, it's green. It's a bio-based firearms lubricant. And it is extreme. You freaks have been waiting for me to say that, haven't you? Century Arms, the sweetest smelling arms maker in the U.S. of A. Check them out. Check out their new website. They have recently redesigned it. Follow them on social media. Tell them hello and hey and all that good stuff. And before we get moving, we got a bunch to talk about, so I'm going to go ahead and thank our friends at SWAT Fuel. If you go to the SWATfuelstore.com, and that's what it is, it's SWATfuelstore.com, use the promo code SOTG2015, and if you do that, you're going to save yourself some money on your purchase, and, well, you're welcome. There you go. SWAT Fuel, stronger bodies, sharper minds. Paul breaks with tradition. In my show notes, it says, Paul breaks with tradition and gives some free, unsolicited advice. And this is what I'm going to tell you. This weekend, I popped over to an indoor range, to the Gun-Ho range over there in Pass Christian, Mississippi. I popped over to the Gun-Ho range. I went inside, and I needed to do some testing and evaluating real quick on well, quite frankly, I wanted to put the new slide from Lone Wolf Distributors with the RMR red dot sight onto my existing G-Lock frame and shoot it. That's what I wanted to do.
So you went to the Gun-Ho range?
Gun-Ho range, yeah. I know, it's funny. Gun-Ho range, their website is HORANGE.com. So it looks like gun-orange. I see that every time I type it in. It's like orange?
Yeah.
Gun-orange? No, that's not it. So while I was there, I noticed a woman who I had seen at the counter when I was loading all my ammo cans and targets and taking them in. I saw her stand at the counter talking to the guy. And after we'd been in there maybe 10, 15 minutes, she came walking in, and she had one of those Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 380s. And so she puts a target out at 3-4 yards, whatever, and she starts blasting away. And it was Zach's turn to shoot, so I sat down on the bench and I looked and I saw her. She was in the lane next to us, and she was doing that. Hold the gun and your pistol in your right hand, and take your left hand and lay your left thumb over the back of your hand so that it's right behind the slide. That technique, and I was cringing. I was like, ugh. Well, she fired the slide lock and set the gun down, and I walked over and I tapped her on the shoulder. And, of course, you're all ear-muffed up inside of a gun range. And I said, would you mind if I gave you a piece of advice? And she said, sure. So I mimicked with my hands. I said, when you hold a pistol, hold it like this. And I mimicked with both thumbs on the same side, pointing at the target, not crossed in the back. I said, because if you do this, that slide's going to catch you. And so she pulls her left hand up and shows me her left thumb. And she goes, you mean like this? And there she had a little nick gash across it wasn't huge, but it was a cut across the top of her left thumb where that 380 slide had jumped back and cut her hand. And the sad thing is she thought that she was doing something wrong and that it was okay. And she was, but she didn't realize that the gun's not supposed to cut you like that, so don't hold it like that. And I said, well, I just, I'm not trying to tell you what to do, but I think if you do that, it'll work better for you. And she says, well, I thank you. I appreciate it because I had a revolver and I sold it. And I'm like, yep, that's why you do that. So we continued on our merry little way there. And she went out and she gave them that gun back, and she came in with a Smith & Wesson shield, 9mm shield. And she held the gun like I showed her, and she blasted away. And at the end of our session, she held the two targets. She held the 380 target, and of course it was the big silhouette man, the colored silhouette, And all the rounds that she had from the 380 were down in like the navel belly area, and then all the rounds from the 9mm were in the upper chest area of the target. And she said, yeah. I said, did you feel more comfortable with the shield? She's like, oh, much more comfortable. And I didn't like that other gun. I said, you didn't like it because it hurt your hand. It shocked you every time it fired, didn't it? She goes, yeah. I said, that's why all your shots are going low. And she's like, oh, well, thank you. Anyway, so it was all nice and done. Well, about that time, a young man and a young woman walked in. They're probably early 20s, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. And they walk over to their lane, and he sets her up, and he hands her the gun, and he shows her how to put bullets in it. So she puts the bullets in it, and she aims out. She grabs it with her right hand, takes her left hand, and lays her left thumb over the back of her hand, of her right hand, so that it's right behind the slide. And Zach said, and we packed our stuff up and we left. And she shot. And Zach's like, well, how come you didn't give, her? And I'm like, oh, no. I'm smart enough. No, the boyfriend's in charge there. I'm not walking over there and saying, hey, you might not want to do that because that slide's going to come back and it's going to mangle your thumb. Because why? Because if you do that, then you become the jackass. Then you become the douchebag, the nosy guy. I'm like, he's got it. Now, in the first situation, there was a woman who was by herself who was obviously trying out guns to buy, so rock on. And I don't give unsolicited advice to men because men have their egos completely and totally wrapped up in their choice of hardware. And even if they're doing something completely jacked up, upside down, backwards, if you give them unsolicited free advice, they just look at you like you're a dork. Like, how do you know? You think you, do this for a living or something? Like, nope, I'm just a dude who's here hanging out, so have fun with that. And I've seen, remember the picture we took at the outdoor range with just the copious amounts of blood all over the concrete there?
Yeah.
And I walked up, I saw the blood on the ground. I was like, hey, let me guess, somebody was crossing their thumbs. They're like, yeah, man, that dude tore his hand up bad. Don't cross your thumbs. It's like crossing the streams in Ghostbusters. Just don't do it. That's my advice to you. I mean, take it for what you will.
Attention, new listeners. We produced a free training video series called 7 Training Tips That Could Save Your Life. We want you to have access to this life-saving information. Get instant access now at studentofthegun.com. Do you watch Student of the Gun TV, read the blog, and follow us on Facebook? If you answered no to any of those questions, you are wrong, but you can easily fix yourself. Go to studentofthegun.com to find everything SOTG.
All right, we've got a Go Team moment for you guys. We don't get these a lot, or we don't try and hit too heavily on them, but this one we could not pass over. So let's hear from our friends at Filter. That's why I say, hey man, nice shot. A good shot, man. That's right. Hey man, nice shot from our friends at Filter. And the source for this story is bearingarms.com. It says, this concealed carrier saved an officer under attack. What? That does not happen, according to Shannon the Sandwich Maker and Nanny Bloomberg and every other left-wing puke face in America, James Hatch from the USA Today. That doesn't happen. These weekend shooters, they're dangerous. They're dangerous to themselves, they're dangerous to other people, and they certainly never do anything positive. Or do they? Well, let's see. The dateline of this story is July 29th, 2016. A concealed carrier in Ohio has been presented with the Citizens Award of Valor for stepping in with a drawn handgun to stop a meth abuser who was fighting a Mount Vernon officer for control of the officer's gun. The suspect stopped fighting Corporal Michael Wheeler, and when Wheeler looked up, he saw the suspect staring down at the barrel of Dylan DeBoard's pistol. The story goes, Corporal Michael Wheeler of Ohio's Mount Vernon Police Department owes his life to a brave civilian who stepped forward with a gun drawn. Wheeler said he was being attacked by a homeless man who later acknowledged to officers that he was high on crystal meth. Oh, you gotta love America. Knocked to the ground and fighting to subdue the very irritated and out-of-sorts attacker, Wheeler ended up on his back with the man straddling him. I've never been in this situation before, the 14-year department veteran told Inside Edition Wednesday. I've been able to take control of the situation. Earlier the week, Wheeler was able to reward Dylan DeBoard, the man who saved him, with the city's Citizens Award of Valor. Every day, he remembers the last day of the day last year when things could have turned far, far worse. Okay. So, apparently, in the real world, not the world of James Hatch of the USA Today, or the world of Shannon, our favorite sandwich maker, or any other anti-gun scumbag puke face, apparently, in the really real world, armed citizens do, in fact, make a difference, and they do stop crimes. I know, you're like, what? I cannot believe that this is true. This is, and folks, this is not the first time. And for all these anti-gun left-wing puke-faced scumbags like James Hatch in the USA Today, you know, when they say things like weekend shooters are more of a danger to themselves and anyone else than they are going to be a help, that it's delusional to think that an armed citizen they call it the myth of the good guy with a gun, the good guy with a gun myth, and how it never happens. Apparently, they don't own computers or mobile phones or Android phones or iPhones.
Or brains.
Or they can't do like 2 seconds worth of research, because if they did 2 seconds worth of research, they would find that this actually happens quite often, where armed good guys intervene and save the lives of potential victims. But we don't want less victims in America. Remember that. Don't ever think that the left, that the anti-gun crowd, do not ever think for 1 second that their goal is to reduce the number of victims in the United States of America, or in the world for that matter. Because the big thing with Special Operator James Hatch in his, you remember this? I'm gonna be patient with you. Many of you who are listening to me now were not listening to me last December, because you're new listeners, and I've got that. So I'm going to go, and you're like, what is this guy talking about? What is this? On December 11th, 2015, the USA Today ran a column written by a man named James Hatch. And the title of the column was The Good Guy with a Gun Myth. Yes, it's a myth. And Mr. Hatch goes on to say about how Ted Cruz and some other, at the time, presidential candidates or presidential hopefuls went out, or after the theater shooting, the Bataclan Theater massacre, and the San Bernardino, California massacre, where 2 people armed with high-powered assault rifles and handguns notice how Mr. Hatch didn't identify them as Muslim missionaries. They walked into a workplace and gunned down their fellow coworkers. And then we had a bunch of Muslim missionaries who apparently were not going to hold responsible, walked into the Bataclan Theater in Paris and started slaughtering people. And we're finding out now that they abused and tortured them to death. But no big deal, according to USA Today, because when you have a professional like James Hatch, he'll tell you that the good guy with a gun situation, that it's a myth. And what did he say, Jared? He said something about how if Ted Cruz and Newt Gingrich got their way, that it would be worse. I'm looking for the actual quote here on the, because I know it's there.
In the article that you wrote?
The actual quote in the article. I wish I could highlight these like I do my Kindle.
Are you talking about the article that you wrote?
No, the actual USA Today.
Okay.
The actual article. I've got it open in front of me. But it says if they get their way.
If you guys want to look at the actual article that Dad wrote about it, it was actually called An Open Letter to James Hatch and the USA Today editorial staff. Good Guy with a Gun Myth. So you go read that article. There's a link in the show notes for episode, what is this, through 429? Yeah, SOTG 429. Go to studentgunradio.com and find the show notes for episode 429. And then down at the bottom there will be a link to this article, so you can go read it.
Yes. In closing, though, what we've got is we have all these self-described experts that are in the anti-gun, pro-government, civilian disarmament camp. And they will tell you, and they will tell the huddled masses, they will get on television and they will get on the USA Today, like our expert there on Fox News, and they will try and convince your soft-minded friends and relatives and neighbors that this whole thing about good guys and citizens and the average Joe carrying a gun, that's all a myth. And there's never been a situation. Actually, Mr. Hatch and everybody else, Shannon, there are numerous situations where good guys with guns have saved people's lives. And we wanted to share this story from Ohio with you guys. So the next time you hear that, you say, put up your hand and say, well, hold on a second. Do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing that an armed citizen, not a special operator, not an off-duty cop, not a detective, not an FBI agent, but just an armed citizen, a citizen who saw it as his duty to be armed and ready, stop somebody from attacking a police officer? Now, what was the guy doing? Was he trying to hug the police officer to death, Jared? The meth ad head was trying to hug him to death? He was trying to get his gun out of his holster. Now, what do you think the meth head was going to do with the gun if he got it out of his holster? Like, take it and run away and go shoot squirrels tomorrow? No. When meth heads jump on cops and try and pull their guns out of their holsters, they're doing it so they can kill the police officers. You understand that, right? Yeah. So thank the Lord for this good guy with a gun. And thank the Lord that people are still willing to, in the United States of America, that there are some people that are willing to actually take action other than pulling out their iPhone. You know, if Corporal Wheeler would have been a San Francisco or San Diego or New York City police officer, what probably would have happened is there would be an awesome viral video now that someone filmed with their iPhone of a meth head knocking to the ground, beating them unconscious, pulling their gun out of their holster, and then killing them. But fear not, the bystanders all got YouTube videos on their phones. Because that's what happens in cities where basically where the people are disarmed and they've all been convinced to be good little subservient victims, like California and so on and so forth. Folks, don't believe it for 1 second. Now, I've got two more things to say, and then we're going to move on to our student of the gun homeroom. Number one, if you are going to be an armed citizen, like the gentleman who was mentioned here in this story, you need to understand that you might actually have to skin that thing out of the holster and use it for real one day. You need to come to the conclusion that you're not just carrying that as a magic talisman to ward off bad guys because it's on your body. you might actually need to use it. And my question to you is, and this is a gut check, this is a soul search here, do you currently possess the skill necessary to stop a bad person from hurting a good person, even though there's other people around? Well, no, what do you mean? Yeah, Jared, do you know when the good guy in this story, when the armed citizen, when he pointed his gun at the meth head and told him to stop, did you know that there was somebody downrange?
Was there really?
There was a good guy downrange.
We can't have that.
That's unsafe.
The
Didn't
real
he know
world
that was
has
unsafe?
lines.
He should have been looking for the 5-yard line to put his toes on it. And he should have been observing the 180 rule. And yeah, you know that sometimes in the real world, if you're called upon to use your gun, there might actually be people downrange. What are you going to do? And the other thing I'm going to say is if you're a man in blue or a woman in blue, or I don't know what color, if you're a sheriff's deputy in Ohio, you wear gray and black. But if you're an American law enforcement officer, I want you to think about this. Before you set yourself up in an us versus them mentality, before you decide to get on the I have a badge and a gun and a uniform, and I've been given the authority to make traffic stops and arrest people and so forth, so I'm the only one in America qualified to carry a gun. You might want to consider who in America is going to have your back when you need it. I've seen this. Oh, go ahead.
You still want to address we could do that in another episode, but not right now, but address the illusion of security stuff?
Which illusion of security?
Like what is said to people?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. But if you're a police officer, I want you to take a gut check and a reality check. Who are the people in the United States of America that are going to have your back? Who are the people that are going to support you? I'm serious. I'm being absolutely serious. Do you think that the American Progressive Socialist Party, the ones that call themselves Democrats, do you think they're going to have your back? And you say, well, no, Paul, I know that they don't have my back. I know that they're a bunch of scumbags and that they support domestic terrorist organizations like Black Lives Matter and the New Black Panthers and the Nation of Islam. Yes, I called them out. They're all domestic terrorist organizations. When you get up in front of your church mass synagogue, not synagogue, where to Durka mosque, when you get up in your mosque church thing and you tell people to rise up and kill, and then they do, you don't get to hide behind free speech and say, well, it's not my fault. When you make a public speech that you want all of your followers to rise up and kill the slave masters, when you walk down the street and yell, what do we want? Dead cops. When do we want it? Now. You don't get to hide behind free speech when cops are being murdered by your followers. And who is defending those people? Who is defending Black Lives Matter, Black Panthers, Nation of Islam? Who's defending them? It's not the NRA. It's not the concealed carry people of America. It's not the conservative citizens with guns like this dude right here. It's the progressive socialists and everyone who supports them. Brothers, sisters in blue and gray and brown, you might want to think about making friends with the NRA. You might want to think about making friends with these weekend shooters, because in the end, those are going to be the people that have your back. Or not, or you can just, you can continue to do the us versus them. Citizens shouldn't have guns. That's why I'm here. And I know that attitude is prevalent, especially in large metropolitan agencies where you've got city cops and what have you cracking down on these concealed carriers. And brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, you're going to have to choose sides. Yeah, you're going to have to choose sides. And if you want to throw your hat in, look at those fellow officers in San Francisco that turned in their fellow officer to internal affairs because he had an evil, nasty AR-15 that he'd modified, that he put extra parts on. It wasn't the citizens that turned that guy in. It was his own people. And Jared, I have to wonder, his fellow officers that turned that guy in, are they the same ones that think that only cops should have guns and nobody else should?
I don't know. I don't know any of them. So
yeah. Well, that kind of attitude is prevalent, and you got to figure it out. All right, it is Thursday, and it's time for our Student of the Gun Homeroom, brought to you by Crossbreed Holsters, the makers of the Super Tuck Deluxe, the Mini Tuck Deluxe, the Purse Defender, the Bedside Backup, the Ram Mount, the Freedom Carry, and I'm sure there's something else. They make belts, too. So let's go ahead and have our Student of the Gun Homeroom.
What you gonna do when it all comes back to the place that you never wanted it to come back to? And where you gonna roll when the bottom drops out and you got no place to go? Who you gonna trust when trust is a must? You better roll with the rest of us. So pack your bags and all the faith you can, cause it's about ready to hit the fan. 2012, all about the re-election of an antichrist.
All right, the topic that I'm going to speak on right now in our Student of the Gun homeroom, it's gun related, not specifically handgun related, but I guess this is more prevalent in handguns than anything else. A lot of gun guys will go out and they'll buy a shotgun because they want to do something with that shotgun, like they want to kill ducks or pheasants or squirrels or whatever they want to do. Right? Or they want to break orange things as they fly across the sky. So they buy their shotgun, and they buy it purposely because they want that thing. Now, if they buy a bolt action or a precision rifle, generally, before they buy the gun, they already know what they want to do with it. They're like, well, I'm going to go to Montana, and I'm going to hunt elk, all right? Or whatever. And so they buy that gun for that mission. But a lot of folks buy handguns just because they want to buy a handgun. It's not because they are planning to go out and compete or hunt or do something like that, because they want to buy a handgun, or they say, well, I'm going to buy a handgun because I'm going to have it for self-protection, home defense, and what have you. And that's great. But they like buying guns. And so what some folks will do is they will buy a gun and they'll, shoot 50 or 100 rounds through that gun. And then the next new gun, the next cover of Guns and Sandwiches magazine comes out. The February issue of Guns and Sandwiches hits the newsstand, and they pick it up, and there's a new super sexy blaster on it. And they're like, oh, I'm going to go get that blaster. So they take the first blaster that they've only shot about 100 rounds through, and they go down to Cook's Gun Shop, and they trade it, and they get the new blaster that's on the cover of Guns and Sandwiches. Cool. And they go shoot another 100 rounds or so through that, and they get a holster for it and all that stuff. And, well, then you know what? 3-4 months later, H&K or Smith & Wesson or Glock or whomever comes out with a new blaster. And like, oh, man, that's even cooler than the one I had before. And they go do it again. And that's great. If you're an American, you can do that all day long, and that is your right and privilege to do so. But I'm going to tell you this. You might want to think about mastering the first one before you move on to the second one. And this is something that, the reason I'm talking about it is because I did spend some time at a public range, and I see these things. I see people where they're constantly switching over and doing this and doing that and changing things. And that's great, but folks, you're never going to achieve any kind of mastery if every 2, 3, 6 months you change blasters. You're like, well, I had this HK gun, but I don't like that now. I got this new CZ gun. I don't like that now. I got this new, Smith & Wesson gun. Well, I heard, Glock's got a new one, blah, blah, blah. FN's got this one. Bros and sisters, but mostly bros. Women don't do this. I don't think. I've never met a woman that did the gun of the month club, but men do. They do the gun of the month club thing. And if you're going to get a gun a month and you're going to master that gun, you're actually going to get out there and train with it and shoot it and get to the where you really know the capabilities of that gun. Great. That's awesome. Do it. But how many of you are playing the gun of the month club? and you never have the opportunity. You never get the opportunity to master the first one because before you've mastered it, you traded it off to get a different one. So, folks, this is my advice to you. This is advice for the Student of the Gun homeroom for this week. Guys, before you go out and decide that you need to buy another gun, look at the one that you've got and ask yourself, have I mastered this one? Or am I just looking to pass this one off for the promise of a newer, sexier, shinier gun? It's up to you. Do whatever you want. I don't care. All right, that's it for Thursday. Sorry, guys. We're all out of time. But we'll be back tomorrow morning, Friday morning, with a Student of the Gun grad program. A fun-filled, action-packed Student of the Gun grad program bonus hour. And it's the first of the month, so our grad program got their new Tactical Tutor newsletter. Congratulations to them. If you want to be one, well, Jared, they want to be one. How can they do that?
Go to studentofthegunradio.com, click on the Become a Member button. It's right here. I'm going to do it right now as we talk. So studentofthegunradio.com. All right. That's going to load for you, and then you're going to click the Become a Member button that's in the green bar on the top. It doesn't matter if you're on mobile or if you're on a regular computer. It'll be green. And then it says, Become a Member today. Show me what I get. You can either click the Show me what I get button, or you can scroll down, and it gives you a little table. So here you get exclusive celebrity interviews, you get a weekly bonus hour of Student Gun Radio, you get monthly tactical tutor, you get a exclusive private access to a group of peers.
Like-minded individuals.
Yep. You get product offers, student discounts, partner discounts. You get access to literally thousands of hours of audio, video, written content, and obviously you get the most fun you can have with your clothes on.
There you go. That's it. That's all. That's all you get. All right, kids. If you're not a grad program member, we will see you on Monday. For the rest of you, we'll talk to you tomorrow.